All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying Ka Halayim Ma Yahweh, by Shem Yahweh Shai, by Shem Harikak my mouth. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity of the truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. This is Jeremiah 50 and 22. It says, "The sound of battle is in the land, and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How is Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. The Lord hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord of hosts and the land of the Chaldeans." And that's talking about America right now, man. So the Lord is opening up his armory, meaning all these nations are getting mighty in weapons, all right, coming against this devil. They're coming against this nation, Babylon the Great, which is ran by Esau, man. All right, so I got an article that I want to go into talking about that because the article says Iran's Navy has a plan to crush the U.S. Navy in a war. All right, not developing a plan or could have a plan. They say has a plan. All right, to crush America in the war, man. America's Navy in the war. All right, so let me get Joel chapter 3 verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." All right. It says, "Beat their plowshares into swords and their pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." All right. So now, at one point in time, Iran was an inferior nation to the United States. But right now, they feel like they're superior to the United States. And guess who they're backed by? They're backed by Russia. And guess who Russia's backed by? China, North Korea. And these are all these different nations that are rising up against Babylon the Great. All right, America. All right, so the article says, and Iran's navy has a plan to crush the United States in a war. All right, it says, going into it, it says, Iran's navy, just how advanced and deadly can it become? In June of last year, two important events vaulted Iran's navy into international headlines. The first was the sinking of the Iris carg in the Persian Gulf in June 2nd. Korg, a British-built OL class replenishment tanker, was the Iranian's Navy flagship and one of the most important vessels. The second important development was the rounding of the Cape of Good Hope by the two Iranian warships. All right, the sea-based ship Irenis Markran and the frigate Iris Shahand on June 4th. Macron converted oil tanker is Iran's largest vessel, while Shahan's is one of its newest and most advanced warships. They are the first Iranian naval vessels to sail into the Atlantic, a long sought achievement. All right, so now, and also, Iran is enriching their uranium. I almost said plutonium, but their uranium. So that means they're developing nuclear weapons now to put on these navy vessels. All right. It says these are the largest signs of progress for Iran's navy, which has been modernizing with the goal of being able to operate across oceans. Now, 33 years after the devastating defeat by the U.S., that Navy is showing what it can do. All right. It says officially known as the Islamic Republic of Iran Navy, or the IRIN. Iran's navy is largely the result of an incomplete plan to turn its predecessor, the Imperial Iranian Navy, into a first-rate force. Before the overthrow in 1979, Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi invested heavy in U.S. and European weapons warships, intending to make Iran the region's dominant maritime power. The, Sh- the Shah hoped to support NATO operations in the Indian Ocean and wanted the alliance to establish a naval headquarters in Bandar Abbas. The buying spree included four British Alavand class freights, 12 French made La Combatanti um, La Class 4 attack craft, and four U.S. made Bayandor class corvettes. The Shah even considered buying a number of Invincible class aircraft carriers and sea harriers from Britain and wanted to build a naval base at Kha, or they'll say Chabahar, compatible of hosting U.S. nuclear-powered aircraft carriers, but those plans were cut short by the 1979 revolution. The new Islamic Republic eventually received most vessels that had already been paid for, like the Karag. Other orders including those for four specially designed Speruance class destroyers from the United States, and multiple submarines were canceled. The IRIN's leadership was also purged by Iran's new authorities and then immediately thrust into the thrust into the Iran-Iraq war, during which the Navy took heavy losses. In 1988, the IRIN lost two warships sunk, one heavy damage, and dozens of sailors killed in a clash with the U.S. Navy known as Operating Praying Mantis. All right, and it says after the war, the IRIN recognized that it needed to modernize. Praying Mantis was a turning point because it showed how the IRIN's conventional naval vessels were vulnerable to the United States. Farzan Nadami, an expert on Iranian defense affairs with the Washington Institute, told Insider, Iran acquired some foreign vessels, including three Russian-made Kilo-class attack submarines and several North Korean mini-subs and torpedo boats, but its nuclear program led to increased sanctions and foreign efforts to block its purchases of military hardware. With all the sanctions as a result of their nuclear ambitions, Iran never managed to rebuild its navy quite substantially, Nadami said. So gradually, Iran embarked on this project of making their own warships. Despite the industrial limitations, Iran has built a number of domestically designed vessels, including the Mojay class freights, five Sina class, four Mojay class freights, five Sina class fast attack crafts, and at least one Fatch class submarine. The four Mojay, Mojay class freights, which include Shahan, are the IRIN's most advanced warships. They have phase array radars and carry domestically made anti-ship missiles with a 124-mile range. Wow. The IRIN has still faced setbacks in adding the, the Karag, the Karag. Iran has lost two ships in the last 3 years, one of which was accidentally hit by a friendly anti-ship missile in 2020, killing 19 sailors and wounding 15 more. All right. It says newer mission. All right. It says new vessels were not the only changes. Iran's leader believing the asymmetric warfare has the best way to secure Iranian waters shifted in the IRIN's role in 2008. The IRIN is now responsible for the Gulf of Oman and waters beyond Iran, while the Persian Gulf is guarded almost exclusively by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy, known as the IRGCN. Created in 1985, the IRCGN fleet is mostly composed of armed seaboats, speedboats, small missile boats, and portable craft. It is frequently involved in provocations in the Persian Gulf. The IRGCN vessels harassed U.S. ships several times this spring, including a May incident that led a U.S. Navy ship to firing warning shots at the Iranians. While the IRIN and the IRCGN do share responsibility for the Strait of Hormuz, they don't have a history of cooperation. All right, and when we remember what happened last year dealing with the Strait of Hormuz, man, where they threatened to block it off to stop all trade, and that's a important trade that is needed um to go straight into to that area. All right, so it says the IRGCN is completely different organizationally and ideologically, and is almost the most religious and loyal groups even within the larger Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, Nadami said. The IRGCN expansion, which includes new advanced vessels, has largely come in the IRIN's expense. The IRGC itself tends to get 2 to 3 times more funding than the Iran's military combined. The IRGCN Republican reputation for being more aggressive, that imbalance has led to tensions between the two branches. There have been decades of coexistence between the two, but they have never had any major joint exercises, and that is very telling, Nadami said. They don't have any joint training, and they don't have any coordination at the command levels. They even separate naval academies. All right. All right. Let me get to the other point. All right. So basically, this is going in the two um individuals that try to have maritime control over that area, right? And apparently Iran is going to possibly join forces with them. All right, let me get. It says blue water ambitions. It said the IRIN meanwhile has ambitions for blue water operation. It's already a player in the Indian Ocean, and the recent trip to the Atlantic may have had multiple objectives. U.S. officials reportedly suspected that the Macron and the Shahad were headed west for Cuba or Venezuela, potentially to deliver fuel and weapons. They continued sailing north, however, and their final destination is unknown, though it is believed to be Syria or Russia. Using the IRN to deliver fuel and weapons may seem odd, but it benefits Iran. Official naval vessels cannot be boarded and searched like legal tankers, allowing Iran to avoid sanctions. Ooh. Despite the recent losses in the IRIN and pressing ahead with the modernization and expansion, Iran has plans for new, larger submarines and destroyers, including an ambitious Tamarian design. All right, so now they're redesigning their whole naval fleet. It says now that the UN arms embargo has ended, Iran is looking to China and Russia for help in developing its shipyards and fleet. Boom. Now there goes. That's the kicker right there. Looking for China and Russia. And we all know Russia is the bear that's going to be enough to take America down. And they're going to be backed by China and Iran and these other countries. So this is the whole plan, the whole scheme. So once that sanction was lifted, now it gives uh, Iran, you know, more playroom and more leeway to get weapons from China and Russia. It says it may buy ships from China and Russia or Chinese and Russian design and technology transfers to build vessel on its own. If there aren't going to be any future sanctions, we will see more of the IRIN in the Indian Ocean, the Atlantic, and even the Pacific, the Dami said. All right. So now, and what is putting sanctions on them going to do? They'll wait till the sanctions to be lifted again. So now they're able to buy more weapons. They've enriched their uranium to make more nuclear weapons, and so that's where they're going to supply nuclear weapons on these ships. And they're getting advanced technology now from China and Russia. All right, so that's an all-out provocation of war. They're setting up war to go against this place, man. To go against America, Babylon the Great. So I want to get the scripture again to close it out. Jeremiah 50 and 22, it says, a sound of battle is in the land and of great destruction. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken. And what is that snare? That pride is also the snare. All right, they've been and that snare and also the dropping of the atomic bomb Hiroshima on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's also the snare that was laid upon it because just how they started the nuclear age, it's going to end like that with America being bombed, man. So that's part of the snare that's laid upon the Esau, man. The destruction of America is the fall of Esau. All right, even though it's ran by the European Union, this is the foundation, the headquarters. All right. It says, verse 24 of Jeremiah 50 and 24, it says, I have laid a snare for thee, and thou art also taken, O Babylon, and thou wast not aware. Thou art found and also caught, because thou hast striven against the Lord. The Lord hath opened his, Yahweh Shem Yahushua hath opened his armory, and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord Yahweh of hosts, power of hosts, in the land of the Chaldees. All right, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and served its purpose. With that, I'd like to say, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Harikak Wadash, my mouth. Double honor to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Heroin as well. Salutation to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessing to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, Shalom.